Ever since you landed in Mafia Town, it's been raining with these magical hourglasses. You must be very lost, kid with the hat. You're in the heart of our town, standing before the most powerful man you will ever witness. Everything you've ever owned belongs to me now, including this hourglass piece. If you want it, we'll have to settle it in true Mafia style. Lights! Action! It is showtime!
A Hat in Time is a game that hardly needs an introduction. Developed in 2017, the same year as Cuphead and Super Mario Odyssey. It was developed by the small little indie team of Gears for Breakfast. My favourite video game development team, right next to Nuts for Brunch. You'd think that with competition like Super Mario Odyssey, the game would get overshadowed, but I wouldn't say so. In fact, I'd say over the years the game has amassed a huge cult following, be it from the memes, or the funny and memorable side characters, or just the overall charm that persists throughout the entire experience of your playthrough. And honestly, I think I've just described more about this game than any other person has over the past few years, because despite the game universally agreed to being good, I've never really seen anyone go in depth on why it's so good, why everything in it just works together seamlessly to create an almost masterpiece of a game that I would say can stand toe-to-toe with some of the best indie games of all time, such as Undertale, and yes, even Cuphead. So, in this video, I'll be going in depth. This is only part 1. I'll be covering the first 3 chapters, as well as a few smaller points, like the controls, the characters, and the music. Well, I reckon that's enough of the intro out of the way. Let's actually dive into the start of the game, which begins like every single Monday morning for me, getting woken up by my alarm.
Good morning, and welcome to yet another day of space adventure. You are only 5.
After being rudely awoken by my alarm, I get up, take a shower, and get dressed. Oh wait, we're talking about the game, aren't we? After being rudely awoken by her alarm, Hat Kid gets up and starts to move around, allowing the player to get a bit of a feel for the movement controls. After this, you leave the bedroom, and Hat Kid shows off what a cute protagonist that she is. After double checking that her ship has enough fuel to get her back home, Hat Kid gets a knock on the door from the EPA, who aren't too happy with the way that she is disposing of her depleted uranium. And that is the basic premise of the game. Hat Kid is stuck on a planet that she doesn't know and has to go around all different kinds of wacky locations to find the fuel source to power her ship to get her back home. And it's a very simple but very effective premise. And MafiaTown is a really good first world. It's got a lot of vertical and horizontal movement, allowing the player to really get a feel for the movement controls. Speaking of which, the controls. They are as smooth as butter. Every single traversal option that HATKid has at her arsenal is easy and very, very satisfying to chain together. You can easily go from a double jump to a dive to cancel out just before you land to prevent any fall damage, although the fall damage is very generous in this game. And it just makes traversing every location just an absolute breeze. Even a later ability that you unlock in Chapter 3, the hook shot, has just the perfect amount of trajectory to it whenever you swing off of a grapple point. But that movement option doesn't really get that much focus until you unlock it in Chapter 3. So let's just get back to MafiaTown for now. So we run around for a little while, unlock our basic melee weapon, an umbrella, for some reason. God knows what that has to do with hats or time travel, but, you know, if it works, it works. And hey, we even get a bat later on. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. So we grab a few timepieces, meet some new friends, become enemies 3 chapters later. I'm sure that won't come back to bite us. Definitely not. And we move on to Chapter 2, Battle of the Birds. I know that was a very condensed segment on Chapter 1, but trust me, we will be coming back there a lot later. As soon as we enter Chapter 2, the first thing we see is...
This movie studio is too big for the both of us, DJ. Grooves. The movie should be made by real birds. You moon penguins are just gonna write some loud, noisy dribble.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get to you later, my prince. Oh no. After sneaking inside the studio, we are treated to a very, very long and a very, very fun little stealth segment that I really wish the game did more of, which ends with us legally becoming a bird. Yep, that looks like a bird to me. Now Chapter 2 is very unique from every other chapter. You see, you have to star in both DJ Grooves and the Conductor's movies, and judging on who has the most audience score by the end, ends up becoming the final boss of the chapter. It's a really unique mechanic, and in my playthrough I got DJ Grooves. But unfortunately, before we can get to that brilliant boss fight, one of the levels, unfortunately, requires us to head to Chapter 3 for a special item. So I suppose I can just quickly hurry over there and talk about Chapter 3, Subcon Forest. Oh yeah. It's character time, baby. The characters are what I consider to be, aside from the music, a Hat in Time's strongest point. That's a lie. Everything about this game is pretty much perfect. But the characters especially stand out for just how wacky and unique each of them are. In Chapter 1, you have the Mafia. They all look the same, they all talk the same, but they're all flowing with such personality. Especially that one bartender Mafia who talks to you about your feelings and encourages you. I really like that guy. In Chapter 2, we have DJ Grooves, a lovely, enigmatic penguin who always smooth talks everywhere, and the Conductor, who is Scottish. And over here in Chapter 3, we have the Snatcher, a shadow demon with a very jack-o'-lantern looking face, who enjoys stealing the souls of the innocent and forcing them to do his dirty work. But he's just so charismatic that you just can't help but love him either way. Even the main villain, Mustache Girl, I can definitely see her having her fans. She is fighting for a noble cause, but ends up committing genocide along the way. And that is another thing. I like how every character you come across, aside from a few exceptions, they're all morally grey, allowing you to easily root for or against them regardless of who you are. Take, for example, my favourite character, the Conductor. He only really cares about his train and his grandkids to some extent, but he's just so funny that you can't help but love him either way. And that is another thing, all of the voice actors in this game are just perfect, but I'd say the Conductor especially, he really hams up every single voice line he has, with a close second being the Snatcher. Anyways, after ignoring the small print and getting our souls stolen, we walk around Subcon Forest for a while, going through the massive locations and finding all sorts of lovely little treasures, as well as unlocking a new ability, the hookshot, which I mentioned earlier. With that in hand, we can now finally head back and clear Chapter 2. Now would also be a good time to mention that the game does have 2-player co-op mode, although it's not very good. I mean, it works, it's functional, but I've seen better co-op modes, honestly. Yeah. After giving the birds brain damage, we head back to the spooky forest and go into the spooky house and destroying the spooky toilet and then delivering all of the delivering mail isn't that spooky, is it? Never mind. But it all ends with a spooky boss fight against the spooky Snatcher. What is it with the people on this planet and double-crossing us? Like, come on, please. They're mine. Please. After smacking Snatcher in his jack-o'-lantern face, we grab our timepiece and get out of Subcon Forest with our soul fully intact. At long last. But before we can go further in the game, we need to take a quick break to talk about the music. A Hat in Time has easily one of the best soundtracks from any video game ever. From Far Cry 5 levels of atmospherical tunes, to Mario and Luigi levels of boss fight music. It is basically perfect wherever you are in the game. Seriously, just have a listen to this short little list of tracks I have here. Need I say more? Honestly, like, the main reason I want to see a sequel for A Hat in Time is mostly just to get more incredible music. They seriously pulled out all of the stops for these tracks. And that is just one of the many reasons why this game is so memorable, and what I could consider to be an unforgettable adventure. Well, that was part 1. Maybe if this video gets 100 likes, I'll do part 2. This was originally meant to be just a simple college project, but then I went over the due date, so I just had to do the one video. But I don't know, if you really like it, then yeah, give the video a thumbs up and I will do a part 2. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!